and we'll be back with more news. Israeli settlers attack Huwwara for second time in 10 days, says the Cradle. Government officials have emboldened settlers to wipe out Huwwara. Settlers under the protection of the Israeli army stormed Huwwara south of the occupied West Bank city of Nablus on the evening of 6 March, firing live ammunition at Palestinians, throwing stones, and vandalizing vehicles in the second rampage of the town in the span of 10 days. According to eyewitness, several Palestinians attempted to confront the occupiers and were fired at with tear gas canisters by the Zionist military, resulting in a number of suffocation cases. Video footage circulating social media shows settlers and Zionist soldiers celebrating and dancing during the rampage, which coincided with the start of the holiday Purim. Unconfirmed reports state that Palestinian resistance fighters responded to the storming of the town by targeting a number of Israeli checkpoints and settlements in Nablus with gunfire. The Palestinian Red Crescent Society reported that 31 Palestinians were injured as a result of the simultaneous attack by settlers and Zionist troops. By midnight, the rampage had ended, however. The following day, occupiers continued smaller-scale attacks in Huwwara. Video footage showed the shattered glass of a clothing store reportedly targeted by settler gunfire on 7 March. Additionally, clashes broke out between Palestinian youth and settlers in the town of Huwwara and Nablus. Last night's attack on Huwwara was the second occupier rampage to take place in the town in a span of less than 2 weeks. At the end of the last month, on 26 February, occupiers launched a several-hour pogrom against Huwwara, killing 1 Palestinian, injuring at least 390, and torturing dozens of Palestinian homes and vehicles under the supervision of Zionist troops. A few days later, on 1 March, Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich said that Huwwara should be wiped out. This latest settler attack against Huwwara comes as tensions continue to accumulate as a result of Israeli violence and oppression. As the holy month of Ramadan approaches, tensions are expected to build even further. On 6 March, hours before the storming of Huwwara, Hebrew media reported that the Zionist National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir ordered security forces to carry out demolitions of Palestinian homes in occupied Al-Quds throughout Ramadan, which begins on 22 March. In an audio recording obtained by Hebrew media, Ben-Gvir reportedly revealed his intention to shut down the Al-Aqsa Mosque for 10 days during Ramadan, which, if true, is likely to result in significant escalation. From Aram Online, Israeli settlers continue attacking Palestinian villages. Israeli settlers stormed a Palestinian village Tuesday near the city of Salfit in the northern West Bank, attacking Palestinian civilians as they took the escalating West Bank violence to new heights. The village of Kuful Haris witnessed early morning around 100 settlers who broke into the village and performed religious rituals while chanting into anti-Palestinian slogans, local sources told the Palestinian news agency Wafa. According to Wafa, the occupiers were protected by Zionist forces. In a separate incident in the northern West Bank village of Huwwara, Zionist occupiers from the illegal Yitzhar occupation settlement assaulted an elderly Palestinian farmer while working on his land and was quickly arrested by Zionist soldiers. Similarly, the northern West Bank village of Huwwara, located near Nablus, witnessed renewed aggression last night by Zionist occupiers who violently attacked residents, shopkeepers, and commuters on the main road. A Palestinian family traveling on the road was hurt when occupiers began hurling stones at the vehicle, injuring the passengers. An occupier fired live fire at another resident passing on the road, causing damage to the car without anyone being hurt. Residents came out to confront the occupier but were attacked by soldiers who joined the occupier in dancing in the town streets. Several people suffocated from inhaling gas fired by the soldiers. Huwwara was the scene last week of pogrom by occupiers who set dozens of Palestinian homes and vehicles ablaze, killed 1 person and injured over 350 others. Last week, a violent attack on Huwwara garnered international condemnation after hundreds of Israeli settlers set homes, cars ablaze, and hurled stones at Palestinian residents, while a Palestinian man was killed in the nearby village of Za'atra. More than 350 Palestinians were injured during the Huwwara attack, most suffering from tear gas inhalation, the Palestinian Red Crescent Society said. UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk warned the Human Rights Council Friday that the increasing violence is condemning innocent people on all sides to further tragedy, calling on both sides to adhere to a commitment to de-escalation reached following talks last week in Jordan. In the near future, there must be an end to settlements in occupied land, and within a foreseeable horizon, there must be a two-state solution, Turk insisted. For this violence to end, the occupation must end on all sides. There are people who know this. Volker Turk is not very adamant about what he's saying. Very middle ground milquetoast. And that is from Egyptian news source, and he's a UN human rights chief, so that goes to show you his political leanings. And from Wafa, Israeli settlers continue their rampage and provocations in the occupied West Bank. Israeli settlers continued their rampage and provocations in the occupied West Bank, storming villages and attacking Palestinian civilians. In the town of Huwwara, north of the northern western bank city of Salfit, around 100 occupiers broke this morning into the town under army protections and performed religious rituals while chanting anti-Palestinian slogans. Huwwara was the scene last week of a pogrom by settlers who set dozens of Palestinian homes and vehicles ablaze, killed one person, and injured 350 others. From the Electronic Intifada, 4 Palestinians, including a girl, were taken to a hospital Monday after Israeli settlers attacked them with stones in the occupied West Bank village of Huwwara. That's the same village where settlers backed by Israeli soldiers rampaged late last month, burning cars, homes, and businesses. One person, 37-year-old Sameh Aktash, who had just returned from Turkey where he was volunteering to help earthquake victims, was killed during that pogrom. Following that attack, Zionist Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich issued the genocidal call for Huwwara to be wiped out. On Thursday, Rania Kalik and Eugene Puryear on Breakthrough News talked about the attack on Huwwara in the broader context of Israel's escalating extremism and violence, especially in its increasingly frequent lethal raids into Palestinian cities and refugee camps. Despite international condemnation of their earlier attacks on Huwwara, Zionists are doing nothing to restrain the settlers, the occupiers. The pogroms in Huwwara continue as part of the occupiers' Purim celebrations, backed by the government and lack of enforcement by their authorities, Yesh Din, a Zionist human rights group, said. On Monday, settlers were seen dancing and singing in the streets of the village, part of the celebration of the Jewish festival of Purim, a display one journalist called a show of Jewish supremacy. Purim is often celebrated by dressing up in costumes, but for the Zionist settlers, for the Zionist occupiers, vanguard, it's long been an occasion to parade their racism and violence. One enthusiastic participant in that ugly tradition has been Itamar Ben-Gvir, now Israel's national security minister. As a young adult in 1995, Ben-Gvir dressed up as Baruch Goldstein, the American Jewish settler and medical doctor who a year earlier massacred 29 Palestinians performing Ramadan prayers at Hebron's Ibrahimi Mosque. Goldstein is my hero, Ben-Gvir can be heard telling Zionist television in the clip. Although this violent hatred of Palestinians is undimmed, nowadays Ben-Gvir plays the statesman, marking Purim with a solemn religious service alongside Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. But in Palestinian towns, the occupiers continue to run wild with the full support of the Zionist army. Using Purim as an excuse for violence is practically tradition in the occupied West Bank, breaking the silence an Israeli anti-occupation group observed. Last night in Huwwara, settlers and soldiers danced together to Purim music while Others occupiers attacked Palestinians. Breaking the silence added. Unfortunately, the rest of the year, the Zionist army and settlers don't bother with excuses for their relentless violence against Palestinians. And watch this space. Remember that your engagement through a like, a share, and a subscribe will propel us at warp speed. It will accelerate us at warp speed towards the continuation of our mission to truthfully go where no news will have been going before.